judges are ready. The fighters are ready. The boxing world is ready.
The fight starts now!
Let's go.
How do you like it? On the show.
So aggressive, so focused.
It all comes down to this. Still the undisputed champion of the world. DAZN Weekend Preview.
Welcome to the DAZN Boxing Show presented by AutoZone. I'm Chris Mannix. He is the Latin Snake, Sergio Mora. And Sergio, we will be in Orlando on Saturday. I know you've been checking the weather reports every 15 minutes to make sure that the sun will be shining, but we'll be there to see what I think is going to be a pretty good fight in the middleweight division. Austin Ammo Williams taking on Patrice Volny. Now, I've seen some of the early odds for this fight, and Ammo's getting a lot of credit going in. And look, he deserves it because Ammo is a very good young fighter. He's only got that knockout loss to Hamza Shiraz on his resume. Patrice Volny, Canadian, mid-30s, little bit of an unknown, but Volny has a very good, knockout record, 13 knockouts in his 19 wins. The only blemish on his resume was a technical decision loss to Enrique Falcao, and that was a fight that he easily could have won had that fight been allowed to continue. So Volny could very easily be coming into this fight as an undefeated fighter. So I'm looking forward to this fight because I think it is going to be a pretty closely contested contest.
It's going to be great, man. I'm watching this fight, and I texted Corey Erdman, our partner Corey Erdman at DAZN, and he was like, "Hey, man, this is going to be a sneaky fight." I called Volny's fight, and he has a winky right side defense, ear muff up. It's hard to really, get a good shot in there. He has good power. He's tall. He's lanky, and he has momentum. He's a confident fighter. And I looked at his videotapes, and I'm like, I don't see Winky right. I see more of a former champion in Jarrett Hurd, Swift Hurd. And this guy had power, had the size, had the height, and he put a lot of pressure on opponents. Volny doesn't put as much pressure as Hurd, but he has the same punch selection. So I really think Ammo's going to have his hands full. And I got to give it to Ammo Williams and his team and his promoter. Man, they match him tough. Every single fight, it's like either a tall, strong guy, a power puncher, a guy with a unbeaten record. In his last 8 fights, 4 have been unbeaten fighters. Who does that in the top contenders? Ammo Williams. And here's another guy who's going to have his hands full, man. Volny's going to be a trouble. He's going to be trouble. He's going to be a sneaky good fight, like he said.
Yeah, the one thing about Ammo Williams, too, is that we now have kind of more information about his resume. I mean, Ammo got pretty well beat up in that loss to Hamza Shiraz. Hamza Shiraz, in his most recent fight, did not look very good against Carlos Adames. Does that change your opinion at all about kind of where Ammo is at in this division, given that, he had a couple of good moments against Shiraz, but he was, beat up pretty bad towards the end of that fight. Fast forward, almost a year, and Shiraz can't do anything with Carlos Adames. Does that change your view of Ammo at all?
It changes my view, but not of Ammo or Shiraz. It changes my view on Carlos Adames. He deserves more respect. He deserved the win. He's the champion. Well, it's not the Carlos Adames show this time around, but he deserves more respect. But I learned from Shiraz that he's not that guy. Not yet, at least. He needs more development. He was a little bit too afraid to get hit. He didn't really want to mix it up. He looked like a killer against Ammo, Shiraz, but not against anyone else. So I think with Ammo Williams, who, like I said, has been facing nothing but unbeaten fighters or once beaten fighters. And this guy still likes mixing it up. He got beat up pretty bad against Shiraz, but he was in that fight. He went for the gusto, and it was an exciting fight, and we want to see him again. And that's the reason he has this main event slot. He didn't go backwards. Ammo's going forward as far as being the main guy here, and they're still pushing behind him in promotion. So I love it. And you could bet that Ammo loves it. And I think this is going to be one of those fights where it's going to be explosive. Ammo might get hurt in this one too. Ammo might be one of these Fernando Vargas type fighters, but win or lose, you're going to be in an exciting, bloody fight, and we're going to want to see him again. That's the trajectory that Ammo Williams' career is going right now.
Yeah, and he's in a division that you can get back into the mix very quickly. There are no stars right now at middleweight. You've got a unified champion in Janibek. Carlos Adames out there still has his title. The shine has come off Hamza Shiraz in the aftermath of that Adames fight. So, Emma Williams can put himself back in the mix very quickly. But I agree with you. I think this is a really good fight. I think Volny is going to present some problems to Emma Williams during this fight. He's going to test that chin at some point during it. On the co-main event, on the undercard, we've got Edgar Berlanga coming back. And it is strange to say, Sergio, coming off a successful pay-per-view against Canelo Alvarez, to see Edgar Berlanga as the co-main event of an Emma Williams headline show. But here we are. Edgar Berlanga will take on Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz. Let's be real about this opponent. He's not very good. He's had one fight in the last few years, or a couple of fights in the last few years. Has not proven himself to be on the contender level, certainly not at 168 pounds. What do you think of this Edgar Berlanga return?
Great matchmaking. I mean, you look at this guy, he has a great record. I mean, a spotless record. But then you look at the fights and you're like, wait a minute, he hasn't fought in years. Inactive. He hasn't really beaten anyone. And these are exactly the type of guys you want on your resume. So bravo again to Edgar Berlanga and Keith Conley and everyone pushing him and the promoter, because they're going to put another solid, unbeaten record on his resume, and then he's going to get another big fight. That's the way you promote fighters. So I love it. But Berlanga shouldn't have any issues with this opponent. He should run right through him. It should be a knockout, and it shouldn't go past the first half of the fight.
First half, hold on. First, here's where I'm going to stop you. This shouldn't go past the first round. Gonzalez Ortiz has had 2 fights in 10 years. Like, ridiculous. It has not fought anyone on the level of an Edgar Berlanga. If this fight goes past 1 round, it's a bad look for Edgar Berlanga. I'm just going to call that right now.
Remember,
he's got to dispose this guy.
We'll be on telecast. We'll be on telecast, Mannix. Remember, you said that.
I did.
I would expect 3 rounds, at least 3 rounds. I mean, at least. I mean, there's still a live guy in front of him. And yeah, Berlanga had 16.
Yes, we'll give that to Gonzalez Ortiz. He is alive. He will be alive when he stands in front of Edgar Berlanga. I will give you that.
Who knows? The Florida Commission's pretty lax. But look, Berlanga does have that first round knockout streak that he started off career with, 16 straight, and that's what made him the attraction that he is now, and that's why he got the Canelo Alvarez fight and so on. But so far, he hasn't been knocking out anyone, let alone the first round. And I don't think he knocks out his next opponent in the first round either. I'm giving this guy the benefit of the doubt for this fight. But after this, I think Berlanga is going to get right back on top to a big name, a Caleb Plant type fight. But he's not going to struggle with this guy. But 2-3 rounds max. I don't see him knocking him out.
What benefit of the doubt are you giving Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz? And I'm trying to be respectful of anyone that gets into the ring, but he is a largely career-long middleweight who has fought 2 low-level fights since making his return to the ring following a 10-year layoff. He's in his mid-30s. Like, I don't see how there's any room for debate here. If this goes longer than 1 round, it's a bad look for Edgar Berlanga. Like, fighting this guy is one thing. We know there has been a dispute with Edgar Berlanga and Matchroom on the particulars of a potential new deal. The talks fell apart. Edgar Berlanga was supposed to headline a show in Puerto Rico last weekend. They couldn't get a deal done, so here he is fulfilling his contract, last fight of his contract with Matchroom on the show. But this guy in front of him, if he winds up like Patrick McCrory and going into the second half of the fight, it's a terrible look for Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga, look, the guy's got an undefeated record. That's great. You can add that, to your resume. But if this goes long, it's more about Edgar Berlanga than anything else.
I agree with you, but I'm not going to go ahead and criticize Berlanga. He's doing what he needs to do. He's fighting the guy they put in front of him. But look, we're going to go back and forth here. I think Gonzalez lasts more than 3 minutes. I think, he has good power. His record indicates. The one videotape that I did catch of him, he has pretty good technique. He's not a wild puncher. I mean, he's not an active puncher. That's the thing. He doesn't go for the kill. So that's the reason I think he lasts more than 1 round. If he was like one of these guys that goes for the knockout and starts off real fast, Berlanga will slice him up and catch him in between the shot with a counter. But he keeps his hands up. He moves around the ring. He jabs. And then he waits for you to push the fight. That's the only reason I think this fight goes in, at least 1 round. I'm giving Gonzalez the benefit of the undefeated doubt. The dude hasn't lost. So he has a little bit of power. He hasn't lost. Yes, he hasn't fought in a long time, but maybe he's preserved and he's been in the gym. I'm giving him that benefit. Other than that,
now you're just making stuff up. You're just giving him the benefit of the doubt for facts that are not in evidence. Look, what we know is that when he returned from this 10-year layoff, the first opponent he faced was at middleweight, and he was 5-23. That was the record of the opponent he faced. The next guy he faced a few months later was also at middleweight. He had a record of 14-5. So he has not fought someone with the record, certainly, of Edgar Berlanga. He has not fought someone the size of Edgar Berlanga. It's a super middleweight fight, so he's fighting up in weight. Look, Edgar Berlanga's got to go out there, and I think he's going to charge right at him. He has got to get him out of there, say, look, I got this over with. Now it's on to the next. Now I want Jaime Munguia. Now I want Caleb Plant. If this winds up being an actual fight where we're calling it in the 6th or 7th round, it's a bad look for Edgar Berlanga.
If it goes past 4 rounds, it's a bad look for Edgar Berlanga. Forget 6. Me and you are just talking about 3 minutes. I think any man can hang for 3 minutes, especially a professional fighter with some punch and with some names under his belt. So look, we're going to go back and forth here. All right. So I'm going to tell you, we can have a personal bet. You already owe me like $300 from personal bet. So we're going to add that. I'll double down on this one, Chris Mannix. I think Gonzalez gets past the first round. I think he's cagey enough. I think he's savvy enough. And this is a Super Bowl. Edgar Berlanga is a Super Bowl in his meal ticket. You could bet that he's not going to last 3 rounds? Come on, please.
Doubling down on money that you think I owe you, which is non-existent. It's just completely non-existent.
On my account. No, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's just see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad Berlanga's staying busy on the undercard, and yeah, it's gonna end in a knockout. Everyone loves knockouts.
Yeah, and then he's gonna have to find a way to get into the ring with a Jaime Munguia or a Caleb Plant. Like that's the reality. Now, if you talk to the people around Berlanga, and I have, they say that there is a plan in the works to get Berlanga in middle of this year, fall of this year against one of those big names. I believe it when I see it. I believe they did a fantastic job of navigating Berlanga to Canelo Alvarez. He made about $10 million for that fight. Good for him. That's money that is in his bank account. But now it's time for Edgar Berlanga to prove himself against some of the very best. Huge bad blood between him and Caleb Plant. A Mexico-Puerto Rico type of fight with Jaime Munguia would be a big deal. He's got to do it. If we get to the second half of this year and we're not talking about Edgar Berlanga in a big fight, it's just going to be more of the same with Edgar.
It's going to be disrespectful because he's, like you said, he's been well paid. He's been well promoted. He got the mega fight. He got the golden ticket with Canelo Alvarez. And now he's going to go backwards and fight these nobodies or guys that are fringe contenders. It'll be a slap on the face to everyone that gave him an opportunity, including the fans that have been supporting him. But I don't think that's going to be the case. There's too much pride involved, too much experience involved now with Berlanga. And he got a taste of how it is to be the main guy on the biggest stage possible. And he wants to get to that as fast as possible. I think a Munguia fight will be perfect next. Plant will be good, but Munguia, I think, will be better just because of the style matchup and Munguia's coming off a loss. Or maybe even I know I keep bringing him up, but T-Rex Trevor, the guy that fought Caleb Plant, I think he should be in the mix as well. There's interesting matchups at 168. Give me any of those.
Trevor McCumbee is who you're talking about. And I think Trevor McCumbee is more likely to face Diego Pacheco in the first half of this year. But look, whatever it is, it's got to be a big fight. It can't be someone like Gonzalez Ortiz, and it can't be some kind of faded former champion like the man I'm staring at right now through this screen.
Hey, listen, if Gonzalez wins, I'm making my comeback, and he's my next opponent.
Barbara is nervous because her check engine light is on, and she's expecting the worst. But she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner, Amy, runs a Fix Finder scan. Just one of AutoZone's exclusive free services. She finds the most likely fix and refers her to a local shop. Less stress, more free services.